Good evening. I'll be doing a little something different with the cigar review tonight as far as the camera goes. I've discovered, based mostly from my previous review, that the front-facing camera on my cell phone is kind of finicky when it comes to lighting. Bright daylight works fine. It gets a little bit darker, it works fine. Everything in between, like as the sun's starting to set, or if I have a light that's maybe not really bright, the camera tends to slow down. It becomes very frame oriented and kind of jumpy, and like as I would wave my hand, any kind of movements, there would be multiples, would be, across any kind of movements. So I've flipped the camera around so I don't see myself in frame, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening, other than I do check each segment after I've recorded them just to make sure that everything was in frame and came out okay, and if it didn't, then I can always re-record it. But as of yet, I haven't had to do that. I take a few sample shots and a few short segments of video to test for sound and lighting and that type of thing, camera angles. So this is something that I haven't done in the past, as far as not being able to see myself in frame of the camera. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully everything goes well. I hope you enjoy the cigar review, and there you have it. Let's get on with Scorpion Cigar Reviews. Here we go, folks. Hello everyone, welcome once again to Scorpion Cigar Reviews. Tonight I will be smoking a Le Pigeon. This is another lost and found item. This cigar is made in Honduras with Habano wrapper and Corojo binder and filler. The cigar was gifted to me by Matt Eskridge. Thank you very much. This is one of those 6x54 type cigars that get thicker in the middle, taper off on either end, similar to the Swollen Cock cigar. Sweet tobacco note on the nose of the wrapper. The foot brings in some grains, a little bit of leather, a little bit of cedar spice. Everything very subtle. Okay, not getting a whole lot. I'll try a punch cut and see what happens there. Make sure we get a good draw. If not, I can always switch to a different type of cut. The wrapper Nice espresso color. Tight but visible seams, some minor veining. Good firm pack without being, you know, brittle or anything. It's a good pack. Feels good. Has a supple, leathery feel to it. Okay. Pretty light draw. Some hints of cedar. Something else in there is familiar, but I can't quite pinpoint it. I'm gonna have to think on that for a while. Maybe it'll show up in the smoking of the cigar, and I'll be able to determine what it is. Yeah, very interesting. I'm gonna have to think about that. It's got me baffled. Let's get lit up. Give that a shot. The peppery blast initially on the retrohale. It's really about all that's going on at the moment. All right, we'll let this heat up. We'll come back somewhere in the first third. See you in a bit. Here we are, entering the first third. I'll tell you, there's some interesting things starting to develop. Definitely a very creamy mouthfeel, very creamy. Some kitchen spices. Not at all unpleasant. Really a rather nice cigar so far. I have about, not quite an inch and a half worth of ash, inch and a quarter maybe. Seems to be holding on just fine. I'll set the cigar down for a moment. Tonight I'm drinking Islay Mist blended Scotch whiskey. It's aged 8 years, 40% alcohol by volume, distilled, blended, and bottled in Scotland by Macduff International. It's actually some pretty good stuff. It's a budget whiskey. Gosh, I don't remember what I paid for it, but it's probably somewhere, I'm not going to say because I don't remember. It was well under $20, probably around 10 or 12 if I remember right, but like I said, I really don't remember. I've had a couple bottles of these over the past few years. Been real happy with it. It has a slight peat character to it. It's not, you know, not a peat monster. It's not really in your face, so if you don't like peat, it's not going to overwhelm you. Some citrus fruit, some melon, hint of that peat. Alright, so for someone that's, I'm not going to go real in depth into all the different nuances. That's not really what this whiskey is about. If you're familiar with Scotch, you'll be able to pick out these different nuances. If you're not familiar with Scotch, if you're new to drinking Scotch, I would recommend this, as none of the flavors are either too subdued, nor are they too up front and forward and in your face. Everything's really pretty even keeled. You won't have to feel like, oh, you know, it's got all this and that, and you know, all kinds of little nuances. I'm not picking any of it up. It's okay. That's not what this whiskey is about. It's an inexpensive Scotch, and you will definitely pick up some very Scotchy type flavors. See you in a bit. Okay, so here we are, well into the first third. As you can see, I've got a solid 1.5 or better, probably pushing 1 3/4 worth of ash, depending on where you look at on the burn line. As you can see, it's a little bit wavy, not terribly bad. Ash is starting to curve a little bit, so I'm going to have to really watch it. Let's just see what happens. Picked up some really interesting things going on with the cigar. It has a very, very creamy mouthfeel. My mouth is completely coated with this cream. All over front, back, mid, sides, top, bottom, my tongue. Everything is completely coated in this cream. I'm picking up some kitchen spices, and they're starting to dwindle down a little bit. They're not as spicy as far as various kitchen spices go as they were just a few moments ago, but they're leaning more towards the pepper side now, which is actually complementing nicely with the creamy mouthfeel. So I have to apologize. There's these little gnats, or even smaller than, I don't know what they are, little things flying around getting on me. Okay, that's the big thing going on with the cigar right now. Creamy mouthfeel and the pepper. Those kitchen spices, they only lasted for a very short while, maybe 5 minutes or something, and then they quickly digressed into just simply pepper. That creamy mouthfeel, that's very prevalent, very prevalent. Alright, I'll continue smoking this. The Pigeon, if it's French. If not, it's Le Pigeon for the rest of us. Anyway, see you in a bit. Alright, I've got quite an ash going here. I've got solid 2 inches plus. 2 1/4 or something inches worth of ash. I've got more than 1/3 of the cigar, approaching 1/2 the cigar, nothing but ash. Now, I don't know what all you can see as far as my herb garden growing here. Immediately to my right I have various types of mint, one of them being a chocolate mint. I tell you, it can be interesting. Grab a piece of mint leaf right out of the garden. Now this is the chocolate mint, very similar to an Andes candy or something like that. So it could be interesting to see what you get when you maybe eat something, whether it's right out of your garden or whatever, while you're smoking a cigar. Now chocolate can go very well with various bourbons and even some scotches, although my personal opinion is chocolates and a peaty scotch don't necessarily go that well together. I find that chocolates go much better with like a Kentucky straight bourbon or something along those lines. But I'm experimenting with various things here. So I've got the chocolate mint. It's actually pairing really nicely with the creamy feel that the cigar puts off. I'm going to grab another leaf here. A little bit of spider web on that one, that's alright. Spider web seems to be attached to me. That creaminess, kind of cool creaminess of the smoke, and the chocolate mint kind of reminds me of a candy cane. Okay, maybe that's not necessarily really a cigar thing, but it is what it is. down with a little Scotch. Now I also have some rosemary way back here. I'll grab a little sprig of that. Now rosemary tastes like a Christmas tree. Very nutty, piney, very Christmas tree. All right. Oh, did you see that? Welcome to another episode of Dropping Ash. Landed on my foot, not in my lap, so no big deal there. I was actually hoping to get it down to about here before it broke off, but no such luck tonight, folks. All right, back here I have some peppers. These are those little package of red, yellow, and orange peppers. The little ones about yay big. I took those, dumped the seeds in. Growing nicely. Just have some lavender back here. Got a little bit of lavender. Nah, kind of bitter. All right. I'm going to continue on with the cigar review. See you in a bit. Alright, so here we are in the final third. Starting to pick up a little bit of meatiness. I still have that kind of cool, very creamy mouthfeel all over, coating my mouth. A little bit of pepper on the retrohale. Okay. Not a whole lot of changes going on. There's not a real complex flavor profile, but there are some flavors there, some flavor changes going on. The burn has been, just fine. That first chunk of ash held on for probably 2.5 inches or so. Haven't had to relight or retouch or anything yet. I don't foresee that happening. The cigar isn't getting hot. It's just starting to warm up a bit, but there's not a whole lot left. The smoke is a little bit warm, a little bit dry, but not bad. It's actually a pretty pleasant cigar. I don't know the price point on this, but being a lost and found item, I'm sure it's relatively expensive, especially for just a, not really one-dimensional, but just, it's not a real complex cigar. But it's definitely good. It's definitely a good cigar. Not one I would, look to pay, $10 or $12 for or anything, but, if there's something that's maybe hard to come by, okay, sure. But in general, no. $7 or $8? Okay, maybe. But as I said, I really don't know the price point on these. This is just my own impression based on what I'm getting from the cigar. I wouldn't see it being more than maybe an $8 cigar tops. I'm going to continue this cigar on. I'll come back in the nub, see if there's any significant changes, anything really worth mentioning. But there you have it. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so here we are in the nub. I have, once again, probably a good 1.5 inches or so worth of ash. Go ahead and tap this off. Alright. There's definitely a very peppery note on the retrohale. Very strong pepper note when you retrohale. A little bit of pepper on the tongue. Still has a very creamy mouthfeel. Kind of cool, almost like a, like either like what the mint would give you, that kind of cool feel, or something along the lines of, I'm drawing a blank, like a clove, not in the taste, but in that cool feel, that cool creamy mouth feel, and the coolness that comes from both the clove and or a mint, spearmint, that type of thing. Not spearmint like toothpaste spearminting, no. More like a mojito, a mint mojito. Has that kind of coolness to it. A vegetal type mint. And it's not just because I've been eating the mint. I was getting this before I started putting these lovely mint leaves in my mouth. I'll tell you, these are fantastic. I love grabbing these mint leaves. Just chewing on them. Very good. Good stuff. Wash down a little bit of water this time. Makes the water all that much more refreshing. I end this review here saying that the Pigeon has been a pleasant cigar. Didn't have a whole lot on the nose. A little bit of sweet tobacco. There was some grains on the foot. Maybe subtle hints of cedar spice. Maybe a little bit of leather in there. Very subtle. The pre-draw saw much of the same. The smoking of the cigar didn't bring forward any of the. There was really no leather or any cedar spice or anything like that. Any sweet cedar, anything like that. Mostly pepper, a little bit of kitchen spice. There was a moment of meatiness in there. The bulk of the cigar, what you're going to find is that cool, creamy mouthfeel. There's a plethora of creaminess in the mouth. And that pepper on the retrohale. Those are the two big things you're going to get. Creaminess and pepper. The ash held on really pretty well. It wasn't loose and flaky. Didn't fly off in little bits as I was smoking it. Burn line remained pretty even. The wrapper held together nicely. Didn't unravel or blister or anything like that. I am in the nub and I'm just starting to get a little bit of looseness, a little bit of, not even really a blistering. It's just right at the burn line. It's starting to come undone a little bit, but it doesn't really show signs of actually unraveling. So this has really been a really nice cigar. The construction's been really nice on it, and the flavor profile wasn't very complex. The nosing wasn't all that complex, although the nosing and the pre-light draw did offer more flavors than the smoking of the cigar. So I thank you for once again watching Scorpion Cigar Reviews. I will catch you next time.
I thought you didn't like the cold.